Climate Emergency, Partners with Travel Foundation, and World's Responsible Tourism Award winners. So if anybody has any discussion, otherwise we'll just move to receive correspondence. I'll take a motion for that. I need a hand, somebody. Thanks, Tony. And a seconder.
Patricia can second.
Oh, we got everybody going there.
Well,
Thanks, Patricia. Okay. Moving on to item 6, old business. 6.1, funding approval for RSP. Silvio.
Yes, a few words. So we have been, we received the fund for doing the review of the economic development or the tourism strategy. And we cannot yet inform publicly about this here, but we are live also now on YouTube. But so just that you know, I gave you a little bit the background information of the RFP, and that's nothing special for you, but it's important for potential consultant. And then you see the scope of work. That's very important. So what we're going to do is we will review the business plan, the roadmap of 2008, and then all the different points that you see there, formulate the vision, the positioning statement, and so on. Then we also asked to do market research, and in this case, a very specific market research to see in 2019 who was really stopping in town. And here there are some specific data that we can receive through Environics Analytics, and that would be on Highway 5 or the Highway 5 intersection with the 5th Avenue, there at the entrance to Valemount, and then see who really has been traveling. Now, of course, those data are based on somebody who has got a TELUS cell phone. So it's still very reliable, but of course you lose all the other ones who do not have that. And then the other important part of this scope of work would be the review of the governance structure. And then we would ask somebody to really show to the committee the different destination marketing organization models, what are out there. Maybe also see if there is something that's equivalent or similar to ours as a small town destination marketing organization, and then see how to assist our group in choosing whatever the best structure can be in the future. And of course, you can review these kind of points. That's what's out there. Jennifer has already received, I think, 5, 6, or 7 different requests for reviewing the roadmap. We did not want to publish that on internet, but I wanted to make sure if somebody wanted it, they could just kind of request it. And we have already, I think, 6 or 7 requests. And all I ask you now is maybe you can do it now. Give me a second, I see somebody here. It could be either now or also after the meeting, who wants to join the evaluation committee. And the RFP submission deadline is January 29th, so it's next Friday. And then probably in the first week of February, we will review those. And by we, it's internally some staff members. And of course, also, if anybody from the committee would like to join us, you are more than welcome. So you can think right now if you want to join, or even let us know later on. Just send an email to Jennifer.
Okay, thanks, Silvio. Yeah, it's a good read. I appreciate the information you provided. So at this point, I don't know if anybody wants to discuss it further, if they want to look at being part of the RFP approval or evaluation committee. We can talk about that now, or if you want to think about it and get back to Jen. Any thoughts? Okay. Not hearing too much, so I'll leave it in your hands if you want to, if you're interested in sitting on it, get hold of Jen, and maybe we can do a follow-up email the next week or something to see. Okay. We'll move on. 6.2 radio ads verbal. Jen?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was any interest for putting out radio ads for the rest of the season or not. Originally, the last set of ads were supposed to run on March 18th and 19th.
Okay.
Or, yeah, just wanted to see what everybody thought before we totally pulled off that option.
I'm not sure that ads are really a good thing right now, especially since Oregon is even potentially going to be closing the border. We don't know that for another couple of days, I guess. So I don't really think it's the best idea myself.
Okay. Any other thoughts on advertising? Boy, we got a quiet group today. We need Terry here.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis.
Yeah, so I mean, I think I tend to agree with Patricia at this point. I mean, we don't know what our future is going to be after this week. So I guess we're pretty much are we in a position where we have to make a decision, or we can just sort of see where it goes?
Yeah, I just wanted to see what everybody thought. So
okay. Yeah, so I mean, I guess unless somebody has a contrary opinion, I think maybe we'll hold off and we'll see what comes out of the provincial announcements in the next probably 3 weeks, I guess, till we get through the beginning of February. Okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone heard when they might be making that announcement? I was listening to CBC the other day, and they were saying a couple of days.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything more since his press conference when he kind of threw it out there, and so yeah, I haven't heard anything on any possible announcement dates or anything. So.
Okay.
I don't know. He's kind of under getting the pressure from, I mean, everything we're seeing on the news is lower mainland travel when it comes to especially global news and how it's affecting them. But yeah, it'd be an interesting move. I don't know how it would work, but.
Did you hear that interview with the, I think it was the mayor of Invermere on CBC the other morning?
No.
2 days ago? No. Yeah, I mean, he was basically just talking about how devastating it would be for Invermere and, of course, all the other ski towns where it's mostly Albertans coming over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're in the same boat with, the Alberta sledders. So, yeah. Oh, well, I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we need motion on that. 6.3 Kimbo Design Campaign Extension. Jen.
Okay, so of course, Kimbo Design has approached us about extending the social media campaign. They're worried that we're going to lose momentum with stopping and starting the campaign, and then also when we'd be looking at restarting, that everybody else would also be restarting as well. Now, our campaign was supposed to end on January 15th, but they did find some extra funds, and now it's just extended till the end of the month. So where they found the funds was when they go and purchase the ads for Google and Facebook, they put a cost cap on what the ads that they're bidding for. So essentially around Christmas time, it was pretty crazy, pretty competitive. So, some of the ad spots were pretty high. So we didn't necessarily get the ones that they wanted us to get. So that left a little bit of money left in the budget just to extend it till the end of the month. Now, with my initial talks with them, they said it would basically be $8,000 per month to extend the campaign. But now they are suggesting that we actually lower the budget for the campaign. So what they're suggesting now, it is over the next 2 months that we'd spend $2,500 per month. So a total of $5,000, essentially running the ads till April 1st. And he said with, things are kind of up in the air right now, that it might be a good time to lower the budget on the campaign, and that we could, in fact, increase it at any point. We'd also then be looking at starting to layer in the spring, summer activities, hiking and biking as well in that time period.
Okay.
And as a reminder, we have the $20,000 that we've allocated for the social media campaign for 2021. And we have the two options. So sort of like the first motion that I have there, which is that we would postpone the campaign and then restart it at a later date, depending on what the public health officer orders are. Or we could continue on, status quo, keep with the lower budget and reassess for April 1st.
If I can jump in there just for a sec. Sorry, I'm multitasking behind the scenes. That's why my sound and my video are turned off.
No worries.
There's all kinds of stuff going on here. I would agree, Jen, that we should probably look at downsizing the campaign or the budget for that for sure. But I know Curtis had some concerns regarding comments that were coming up. There's not a lot. There is definitely a few comments on there that I'm just curious, do we get a copy of the storyboard at the beginning of each month? Or did I miss that somewhere to check the messaging that's on there? Because, if we keep we do something, as very similar here at the hotel, and I get a copy of the storyboard every week before it goes out. And quite often the people who are doing our storyboard, they're from Alberta, so they don't really know what's going on here. And we sort of adjust that here at the property level before it goes out. So it may be food for thought. I'm not suggesting that we do or we don't. I'm just putting it out there that perhaps we look at that storyboard and the verbiage that goes along with some of the advertising that's going out there to make sure it's really what we want. Because at this point, we're relying on somebody else to put words in our mouth. And maybe that's where we're getting into some trouble with this as well. Is I don't know how much oversight we had. I'm not saying we do or we don't. Again, it's just food for thought. That if we can get access to that a month out, then maybe we can tweak it so it suits our needs a bit better. I'm not sure what everyone feels about that, but
yeah, and maybe just send it out to the whole committee for input.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point, Tony, because it's focused advertising. We don't even see what's hitting social media. It's going to focused areas and groups. So we're really running blind when it comes to the product they're putting out. So that might be a good idea. It's a suggestion that if they can send it out to us, in advance of it hitting social media platforms, just so we can confirm what the messaging is.
I think that's a good idea too.
So what's our thoughts? Do we want to, like Jen's given us two alternatives in the report, downsize it and extend it at the lower rate, or do we want to put it off and restart? Silvio?
I would like also to add, since we're going to review our whole marketing strategy in the next, it needs to be done by the end of March. So that means most likely we'll be working on February and the first 2 weeks of March. it also could be that by doing that exercise that we know a little bit more what we want to do in the future. So what I'm trying to say here is if we postpone it, maybe then we have a better understanding of what we will be looking for the next kind of type of marketing and promotional strategy and the different tactics. And it's just an idea, but that's another thing that let's not forget, we will have most likely a new marketing plan by end of March.
Right. Any thoughts from the group? I'm not really familiar. I mean, Tony really has more of the background with social media campaigns and stuff. So, you know, if we were to curtail our current campaign now and restart with a new campaign, how much that would hurt. I don't know what you would consider momentum in a social media campaign during a pandemic. It really is kind of where my thoughts are. So, what's everybody else's thoughts? Okay,
I would agree with postponing.
Okay, Silvio.
And that, Pete, was our same thought, right? We thought it's very difficult right now to measure if the campaign is successful or not, because on one hand, people are discouraged to travel. On the other hand, even if we say, yes, it's going to be later, come and visit Valemount later, we do not know if it has a real impact, right? So that's why it's so tricky right now. So of course, the postponing could also make more sense, because then afterwards, I hope we will have better tools also to measure the results.
Okay, thank you.
Sylvia, how do you measure results? Like, how would we know that?
Yeah, the results, it could only, and we know it's very difficult, it could be done most likely by the accommodation sector. If they try and if they're willing to ask when somebody registers for the hotel, where and how did you get the information, or are you coming back because you knew about it, or have you seen some advertising, or have you followed some advertising on the internet? So sometimes when you register in an accommodation establishment, they ask you those kind of questions, but of course that's also if somebody's willing to do it or not. So for us directly as a committee, we will not be able to measure it. Of course, Tony, he can measure it, but in his case, he's also doing twice the work because he's also doing a social campaign directly through the Best Western. And here we would have to check maybe with some of the other motels if they're willing to do that. But that's the only way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I mean, we have been very busy, and I know Jasper has been at capacity with the ski hill. So without any advertising, you know, everyone's full. And I know they're having I don't know, call it a problem or a good thing down in Revelstoke and Invermere, same thing, where they're just, you know, overflowing with Alberta tourists. And of course, there's real mixed suggestions about what to do. Should we try to stop them? Should we not? Should we encourage? Should we not encourage? It's a real catch-22 from what I can see. I don't know.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on where we go with the campaign? Do we postpone and maybe jump into something new in March when we have a new plan, or consider scaling it down and carrying on? Diane, Michelle?
I think, I don't know, it's tough. If we postpone, I like the idea of starting fresh with a new energy. If we've got a new marketing campaign or a new marketing plan, I should say. But then what's the state of our province, the next provinces, the world? What's the state it's going to be in? Are we going to be able to promote our area? Nobody knows that. We've been trying to promote not promote traveling, but sticking within our community, local, province. But even that we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, it's all one thing if you're in a large center to say, you know, shop local. It's a lot tougher in a smaller town. I mean,
Absolutely.
we all know people are going out of town for, you know, some shopping and the essentials and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that, you know, looking at it towards end of March when we have a new marketing plan, maybe we have a better idea what direction we're going in the province as far as promoting provincial travel. We'll be starting to, you know, look at bike park season and late season snowmobiling and at the end of March. So I'm gonna leave it for you guys to decide on this one.
If we're taking hands up or votes or whatever, I would vote for postponing.
Okay.
I vote to postpone as well.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. What are your thoughts, Diane?
I think, can we just suspend our thoughts until we hear what Mr. Horgan's going to do? Like till our next meeting?
Yeah, we're good to the end of January.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can ask them about extending it a few more days because it would end on the 31st and then our next meeting is on the 2nd.
All right, yeah.
Because without that will determine whether it's worth it or not too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, on top of all the restrictions that are in place, having this discussion about the border closure just adds one more level to a pretty difficult situation for all of us in border communities, especially. So,
And I wouldn't imagine it's going to take a bunch longer for a decision. I don't think. Imagine he's under talks already and getting advice. So
Yeah, I would agree with Diane on that, you know, maybe, yeah, if we can wait till this answer that's hopefully coming soon, then make another call.
okay. So if everybody sort of agrees with that, we have a motion to table this until the next meeting and see where we go. Thanks, Tony.
Or just table it until we hear something. Because if we hear something in the next couple of days, then, you know, we can just do something.
Do like an email vote or?
Yeah, I would suggest that.
Okay. All right. Well, so Tony put his thumbs up for a motion to table. If I get a seconder on that, we'll table it until we hear more. Thanks, Diane. Okay. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's one of those really fluid situations we're dealing with right now. So, okay. New business, North Thompson Valley Guide 2021, Jen.
So every year in our application for Destination BC cooperative funding for the North Thompson Valley, we always include the visitor guide. Now, but for the last two applications, the guide hasn't been approved as part of the funding. I mean, the program is very oversubscribed, and then there's always other priorities. So in the last 2 years, what has happened then is I have been appointed by the committee to take the lead on the project. Now, this allows us to still keep, an official North Thompson Valley Guide. In the past, Black Press did the guide on their own, and it was a very low quality, poor quality. We had absolutely no input. So in previous years, when the guide has been approved as part of the funding, Symphony Tourism Services took the lead. I mean, basically what it is I have to make sure that all the appropriate sections are approved by the appropriate people, that everybody supplies updated photos, just sort of like that in between the group and Black Press. Now, with the changes this year, we've been in a different season ahead. We had some discussions with Black Press about some changes that they suggested and we did agree with. So we'll be looking at printing less guides this year. Usually it's 16,000, but we go with half, 8,000. So, I mean, some of the smaller centers are merging together, or some of them, visitor centers are now having smaller mobile centers. For example, Vernon, they're going completely digital, and we won't need any guides for trade shows this year. We'd also be looking then at decreasing the pages. So right now it's 48 pages, and then you can decrease by increments of 8. So it could go down to either 40 or 32. Now, a big money saver for the guide is actually decreasing the stock quality. And also the cover is usually a much heavier stock, so that they're just making it all the same really helps with costing. But they'll still keep like a good enough quality with a bit of gloss. So, I mean, in other guides like Prince George and Jasper, they do the same thing where it's actually just the same quality throughout. And then, so with that in mind, all those changes we'd be making, that would therefore allow Black Press to charge 50% off for the ads. So for example, a quarter page ad would usually be $300, and now it'd only be $150. And they're looking to put maybe a bit of a twist on the guide this year about, explore your own backyard. They gave us an example of a guide, Nanaimo's guide. They have 101 things to see and do. So we're looking to do something similar to that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically, I would need two different motions. So one would be that the marketing coordinator be the main point of contact for the North Thompson Valley Guide 2021. And then also that the North Thompson Valley Marketing Committee enter into I stumble on this word, sorry, memorandum of understanding with Black Press for the North Thompson Valley Guide 2021. This then ensures that all standards and key responsibilities of each party are kept.
Okay. So quick question.
Yes.
So who sits on the marketing committee? Is there a representative from each of the?
Yeah, from
affected
each
areas?
of the area. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the four of us. Sun Peaks was included, but they opted out now. They just didn't really feel it was worthwhile for them. So.
Okay. Any questions for Jen before we move to the recommendations? Okay. So we have two motions that we'll need to look at then. First one being that the marketing coordinator be the main point of contact for the North Thompson Valley Guide 2021. Look for a motion on that.
I
Okay,
can make
thanks.
the motion.
Okay, and I've got Michelle had her hand up as well. Patricia for a second.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can, Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, and the second one is that the North Thompson Valley Marketing Committee enter into a memorandum of understanding with Black Press for the North Thompson Valley Guide 2021. And this is signed by the village, is that correct, Jen?
Yeah, so what happens, because I'm still the chair, so the village will sign off on it. So Lori signed for it last year.
Okay. So I'll take a mover and seconder for the motion that we enter the memorandum of understanding. Diane, thanks. And second,
Patricia,
thanks, Patricia. Okay, yeah, and I like the idea of the mimicking Nanaimo's 101 things to do, because that's actually one thing I've been seeing in some of the social media posts too, or with people focusing on their own area. They're finding places they've never been. So if there's a way of really promoting those hidden gems that we have, I think that's a great angle. So, all right, thank you for that. 7.2, light board signs. Jen.
Okay. So Wayne was looking into this, as the village can cover the cost of the light board signs. So the village received $500,000 in funding from the COVID-19 response funding. So he first checked with the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure to see if we could rent a light board sign from them. They said that was not an option. He then checked with LDM to see if we could rent with them, but we can't actually put the sign on a right of way. So right now he's actually looking into purchasing our very own sign, and he is waiting for a quote. So that means that this sign could be used for many things, like the COVID-19 messaging, anti-idling, construction, so on. It would be a really, well-used asset for the village of Valemount.
Okay.
That's my report on that.
No, actually, and I like the angle of looking to purchase, because yeah, I mean, they can be used for so many different things too. I mean, our COVID messaging, and I mean, case of emergency planning, as far as letting people know what's going on. So, all right, so we'll wait to hear back on that. And
how much is that sign?
I think Wayne's looking at quotes to purchase, so I'm not sure what they'd be worth.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounds great. I think it'd be really good.
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline would be to get a couple of them, but I guess we'll wait and we'll see what Wayne comes up with on that. So, All right. Well, thanks for that, Jen. That gets us to item 8. Date of next meeting will be February 2nd, 2021. Does anybody have anything to comment on before we adjourn? Discussion items? Nope, all
Sure.
quiet.
No, I actually have something really quick. I'm not sure, Jen. They have some influencers coming in. They're from BC. Don't worry. To do some photography work for me. And,
Okay.
I'm not sure. They may reach out to you when it comes time to do some of our Instagram posts and our Facebook stuff. They may reach out to you typically for permission. So just if you get a random person asking if they can post or use your the Tourism Valemount's hashtag, they may be in touch with you about that. Just FYI.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, thanks for that, Tony.
Good.
Actually, I guess I have one other question. Silvio, we were going to put the ad out for the trail map. Are we gonna start working on that? The RFP for the website for the trail map?
By we, you mean I?
I guess, sorry.
Oh, I have to be very honest. Right now, this is not a priority, because right now we're still running after all the different grants that are out there. And so my duty, quotation marks, is to first bring money to the village before we spend any money. And as soon as I get a little bit time, I will look into it. But I have to be very honest right now, we're just kind of struggling in a positive way, because every 2 or 3 weeks, there's an announcement for some grants. And unfortunately, those grants yeah, they still take a lot of work. And sometimes it's just to get together all the information. And I think with the trails website and so on, that's something also that we still really need to discuss. And I think we should also consider it when we do our new marketing strategy. And then to be 100% sure how important it is, because right now I did some personal tests. When I put something in online, of course, the first things that come up if I put in a trail that I know in the area, it's the Trail Forks app or web page. So that's something that we really have to consider. How much do we want to invest into that? And again, it does not to be my decision. I think we really should be talking about it when we get to that point when we do the new marketing strategy.
Mhm. The problem with that trail apps is it's just got so many wrong things on it because it's just a user input. You know, even for the biking trails, it's ridiculous what they have on there. I mean, they had the West Ridge Trail, they had Mount Trudeau Trail. So it's really not a very good representation or whatever of our true trails and what they are.
Yeah, no, and that's okay. And that's something that we need to, be aware. And then when we do the new marketing strategy, then we can totally discuss also these aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then make the right decision before we, invest also in that web page.
Mm-hmm. Talking about grants, have we heard anything about the bridge?
No, not
Nothing?
yet. No, not yet.
No.
As I said, probably February, March, if things are okay. The first grant that we heard right now was the one for the $16,500 for the marketing strategy, for one reason, because that money needs to be spent before March 31st. Whereas all the other grants, they go into the next fiscal years. And therefore, I don't expect to hear anything before March, probably.
Really? Oh,
And
boy.
as soon as we hear something, of course, you will all know.
Yeah. I was just wondering if, there was any notice out as to when they
I
might
would,
be
I
telling
would
us.
not, I would not receive that response and be sitting here and say, "Oh, by the way, we received $800,000." No,
Yeah.
I would be jumping up and down on the
No.
chair.
Oh, so we got to keep our fingers crossed for another month at least, huh?
Yeah, keep waiting.
And
Yeah.
also the other one, big one for the public washrooms, right? So we're just all waiting for those. Yeah.
Always.
And
Right.
not only that, of course, this year there will be going to be many other calls for proposals. And here our dilemma is that we do not have too many shovel-ready plans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we're just kind of talking here at staff level, that we probably need to create some plans, drawings, and so on for other projects. So if you, different organizations, nonprofit organizations, if you've got some specific ideas and you've got something again that has plans, drawings, is kind of shovel ready, please let me know. That's very important, because then if something comes up, you've seen with all those other calls for proposals, sometimes you have a time, 2, 3, 4 weeks maximum, but you need to have all the information ready. And not only that, you need council resolutions, sometimes you need regional district resolutions, you need First Nations resolutions, and they all meet, those organizations, once or twice a month. So of course, the time is always very, very short for those applications.
Yep, true enough. Okay. Yoon, you have anything? Questions, comments? No, not hearing anything.
No, I'm not really. No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you knew you were there.
Yeah,
so.
I'm here. Yeah.
Great, thanks. All right, well, if we have nothing else, then we'll take a motion for adjournment at 3:45 and call her a day. Thanks, Diane.
You need a seconder?
Sure, we'll take
adjourn?
one.
Okay,
Usually everybody's out the door before it gets seconded, so.
yeah.
All right,